let's set the context for this. A client sits down in front of you. Sure, they've booked for a stop smoking session, weight loss session, anxiety session, whatever it is. They sit down in front of you, and you might start in the place where I recommend everybody starts, which is, asking a client, what's the problem? What do you want to work on today? This sets the context of the conversation. Moving forward, you definitely don't want to start with, okay, close your eyes and relax and go deeper. We've talked about that millions of times before, because that stuff isn't the therapy. We're looking at the therapy, not the hypnosis part. So when a client says, well, Scott, I want to quit smoking, what are they telling us? Well, realize this, guys, and it's pretty obvious. Where does a client's problem exist? Where does it belong? Where is it? It's in the unconscious mind. So whatever a client tells us their problem is just their best guess. We know, and it could be millions of reasons why. We don't want to categorize people into all problems exist because of childhood trauma. All problems exist because of inner child. I see a lot of that floating around. And now you're basically saying that every human being can be categorized into a certain place, and that's simply not true, because everybody's vastly different. So when a client says, I want to quit smoking, I want to overcome anxiety, I've got weight problems, I can't get motivated, I've got abundance blocks, realize this, and this will make it really, really easy, guys, to have very quick breakthroughs. Realize that everything your client tells you, I would say upwards of about 90 to 95% is an absolute guess. Why? Because now your client's just telling you their experience. Now, this also sort of negates the idea of using like a stop smoking script or an anxiety script, because when you look at it, what is it full of? Symptoms. If you look at a traditional, more stop smoking script, what will it say? You are now a non-smoker. You can breathe easily. You'll be healthier. Your taste will come back. Smoking, 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 smoking. It is all symptom-based. That's why if your client has to come back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, you're just reading the same thing to them, it's pretty obvious why this is never going to work. Smoking is a symptom. Anxiety while driving is a symptom. Weight issues is a symptom. Lack of motivation or abundance blocks is a symptom. Now, realize this, guys, this also breaks into the barriers of, well, I want to do my own personal development, Scott. I can't get motivated to grow my own business. That's your conclusion. That's your guess. And if you go ahead and try and fix that symptom or that guess, what's going to happen? The problem's going to remain. We all know this. We all know this going into personal development, except we all try and fix that thing, okay? So when a client says, this is my problem, you can basically ignore those things because they're telling you their conclusion. All they're going to tell you is a conscious understanding, a backwards rationalization, a conclusion, a guess, an assumption, and all these crazy ideas because they don't know what the real problem is. Why? Because the unconscious mind is doing what it's supposed to do, which it does automatically, which is repress that thing. Because if the unconscious mind has a certain positive payoff, no matter how much it affects the person consciously in a negative way, the unconscious mind loves homeostasis. It'll keep doing the same thing. So an example of this might be a client's, best way to deal with a problem when they were 15 years old and they fell off their bike. The unconscious mind, to cope with that, because it's a very traumatic experience, was to start smoking. Okay, it could be, there's billions of different reasons why. Okay, that gets repressed off, and now a client is dealing with smoking. Now a client comes in to see me. Let's say he's a lawyer, been smoking for 30 years, and what's he going to say? Remember that memory of falling off his bike, no matter how it got concluded, why the unconscious mind created a payoff around that. We'll never know those things. That's what the unconscious mind is supposed to do. Comes in and says, Scott, I've been smoking for 30 odd years. I can't quit. If I go, great, I've got a technique for that, and I deal with the smoking, what's left? That experience is being repressed. It's my job to navigate through all the conclusions, the guesses, the conscious understanding, the confusion. We call these knots, like a shoelace knot gets knotted up. I have to navigate through this stuff and find what is the real unconscious payoff. What is the unconscious mind doing? We call this the soul truth, not the guess. So if I spend all my time deepening my client suggestibility tests, using language patterns, using suggestions like you're no longer a non-smoker, what am I doing? I'm dealing with the symptom. So you can always know you're dealing with a symptom if you have to see your clients multiple times. Now, I say this with a sort of little caveat, but I also mean this in like an expansive way to work with clients. No matter how big, quote unquote, the problem is, how deep the problem is, how exposed the problem is, how small, how medium, no matter how many emotions are attached to that problem, you can have therapeutic breakthroughs very, very quickly when you learn how to navigate to the real root cause. And again, I'm not talking about root cause as all problems exist because of this. I don't want to categorize people in that because now I'm going to steer the conversation. The amount of smokers I've worked with, the amount of clients come in, and you might say, well, Scott, you just work with lawyers quitting smoking. That's their conclusion. Every problem imaginable as to why a client is smoking, I have dealt with, from the bigs, the smalls, the intermediate. Why? Because that's the way the mind works. So although it started off as a stop smoking session, I realized that after a couple of questions, I'm no longer talking about the smoking. I'm talking about the millions of other conclusions that this client has had. It's my job to realize that what you've just told me is a lie. It's a guess, and that's fine. My job is to navigate through all this conscious information, which is just a guess, and find that 1 or 2% of real unconscious truth. It's my job, once I find it, and we call these unconscious moments, to ratify, to put the attention on that and allow that to collapse. Now, it takes me a long time to explain how that works with the mechanics guys. We have an upcoming 3-day live ACH training. I'll leave that below. We'll be able to check that out. And obviously that training is responsible for why our students are having, 1 to 2 session breakthroughs with their clients, charging a hell of a lot of money, but I sort of digress. And again, this gets away from preparing the scripts, the regressions, all that sort of stuff. Language patterns, not dealing with any of that stuff. But realize this, guys, to make your therapeutic breakthroughs even just a little bit faster for now, even if you still want to rely on the traditional stuff, realize that 90 to 95% of the stuff your client tells you is a guess. And it's your job to decipher between what is a guess that is conscious and what is the unconscious real truth. Look for those unconscious moments. Navigate through this maze of conclusions and guessing to find that unconscious truth. And when you find it, I guarantee those root causes will be so freaking bizarre and weird. And you'll really see, wow, the unconscious mind really concludes things in a very strange way. That's what it's supposed to do. That's your job as a therapist. So again, your client's conclusions is, I'm a smoker, I can't quit, I've got weight issues, I've got abundance blocks, I can't get motivated, I've got trauma, whatever it is. This is just their coping mechanism. So when you understand that and realize I've got to find the unconscious truth, not the conscious guessing, it'll speed up your breakthroughs dramatically, guys.